Hi, continuing today's thought. But before I get to today's thought, I just feel compelled to give a big shout out, a big thank you, a big hearty thank you, a big God bless you to our founding fathers, the brilliant men who wrote our Constitution. And the reason I feel compelled to do that today is because if you've been following the international news at all, you know that France and Germany, both of their governments are in crisis right now. The governments are about to fall. Definitely in France, it's happened. It looks like they're on the verge of that in Germany. And the reason is, as I could do a separate thought on this, maybe I will. I won't dwell on it today, but it's basically their systems of government. They're basically parliamentary systems, and you can't cobbling together all these various factions, and you don't have a strong, active executive like we have under our system. But our founding fathers, when they wrote the Constitution, they were students of history, and they looked at all the governments, all the forms of government that had existed at that time, and actually we were colonies of the United Kingdom of Britain, so it would have perhaps been natural to adopt a parliamentary system such as England has. But the founding fathers, they looked at England, and they said, no, we're coming up with a whole new system, and they rejected those systems. And that is why we don't have these kind of government crises that you see in Europe. So I just have to say, thank God that we had our founding fathers who did not burden us, curse us, that's probably a better word, with the governments that I see overseas, not to mention Israel. There are other countries where you have fist fights on the floor, the legislatures, and it just thank God. I just had to put that out there. But now today's thought is about Vivek Ramaswamy, Elon Musk. As you know, they are partnering at their own expense, by the way, not costing the government anything, but they formed a project. They call it DOGE, Department of Government Efficiency, to cut spending of the federal government, to reduce the size of the government, to cut spending, and prevent this runaway debt railway train that is heading down the tracks that could wipe. I don't want to speculate on what it could do to the country. If we're $36 trillion in debt, you shouldn't need me to explain what could happen if we don't do something about it. But the question is, can they succeed? They are on Capitol Hill, by the way, today, as I'm recording this, the day before you're seeing it, and they're meeting with the Republicans, at least, maybe Democrats too. I don't know. Some Democrats, I've seen them interviewed. Some Democrats are on board with this too. How can you don't want to cut Social Security, let's say, but how can anybody object to getting rid of the waste and fraud in Social Security and getting people off of Medicare, for instance, who are not qualified for it, and getting rid of, that's where you get into a sticky wicket, I guess, with Democrats, if you want to start eliminating entire agencies like the totally useless, actually harmful Department of Education. There's so many ways to cut, but the question is, can they succeed? And the reason one questions this is because there have been attempts at this in the past. You go all the way back. I'm old enough to remember something called the Grace Commission. Grace was, I believe, he was a CEO of some corporation or something. It doesn't really matter. The point is that he came up with proposals to cut spending, reduce the size of the government, went nowhere. Then there was Simpson-Bowles more recently, but that's still going decades back, and that was two senators, Simpson and Bowles. Simpson was a Republican, Bowles a Democrat, came up with a plan, and maybe they even testified before Congress. That went nowhere also. And because if they testified before Congress, I didn't see it and I don't remember it. But the reason why I think we have a good chance now is, number one, you have Donald Trump, who is dedicated to accomplishing this, and that's why he's putting people into office, his nominees for his administration, who are serious about controlling costs, cutting spending, and various other things too. But also, there is a lot that he can do by executive order, and he is willing to do it. But as I say in the title to this vlog, the power of celebrity, that is the big difference. The power of celebrity. As I said, the Simpson Bowles Commission, it got some coverage. Maybe they testified before Congress. But you're seeing a very big difference with Musk and Ramaswamy, especially with Musk because he's such a celebrity, wealthiest man in the world, genius, SpaceX and the Boring Company. And that's not because it's boring, like it bores you. That they dig tunnels. He's just brilliant. But the point is that he is a celebrity, and so is Ramaswamy up to a point. So they're getting news coverage. The media are covering them, and they, I am sure, are going to testify before Congress. And when they do, especially if Congress takes my suggestion and do what the Democrats did with the January 6th committee, hold the hearings in prime time. And I guarantee if they do that, even if it's during the day, but definitely if they do it in prime time, it'll get widely broadcast, and the entire country, I am sure, will be watching it. And then what Ramaswamy and Musk will suggest will be things that make sense, that the American people can get behind, and they will light a fire under their Congress critters and their senators to get it done. So that's why I am hopeful this time that with celebrities with a big name like Elon Musk, especially behind it, and Donald Trump, don't discount him. I mean, he just won a sweeping victory. Democrats, I saw an article denying, no, he doesn't have a mandate. Yes, he does have a mandate. So I'm really hopeful, because this government is too big, spends too much. Even with the Trump tax cuts, which is another order of business, you have to keep it from expiring. Taxes are too high. Don't get me started on all the problems with the government, except to say that the federal government, except that government should be local, should be handled by the states and the cities, and very limited federal government, unless we're under attack. That's the main function of that's why the Union was formed in the first place, by the way, because it's the United States of America. That was the Declaration of Independence. And when the war was over, the Revolutionary War was over, they were 13 separate states. They were not a union at that time, but they decided that we would all be better if the states were united. And one of the big reasons was because of a fear of attack. There was no way. For 10 years after the revolution, there was a very weak Articles of Confederation, and it didn't work because the government, that federal government, did not have the power to raise an argument. That's my job, to raise arguments, to raise an army. They had to depend on the individual states, as I recall, to voluntarily send soldiers, as they did during the Revolution. So that was one reason. There are a whole lot of reasons to form a union, but it was a union that was to have very limited powers to do certain things that were better done collectively, but leave the most aspects of our lives governed. The part, we have rights or things the government cannot interfere with. But aside from that, done at the state level, where you have better access to the decision makers who are elected and accountable, and it's easier to hold them accountable. So that's my thought for today. That's enough. As I was saying, Musk and Ramaswamy, I have great hopes for them, specifically because of their celebrity and because what they say will make sense, and because they're brilliant businessmen. And that's Well, I got to throw one more thought in here. This was going to be a separate thought, but the Democrats believe in rule by experts, that we have to have experts who understand all of these various issues that are supposedly too complicated for us, and we need we need experts to decide. I won't go off on a big tangent on that, except that I just want to say that one of the experts they don't seem to recognize, they don't seem to need experts in business. This is the first cabinet I can think of where there is nobody or administration who has run a business. And so if you're talking about cutting costs, these guys, they just spend. They don't know anything about cutting costs. Somebody, actually it was Arnold Schwarzenegger when he was running for governor. He said that these guys signed the back of the checks. I'm the guy who, because I'm a businessman, I spend the front of the checks. I know what spending is. So that's it. Thanks for stopping by. If you could subscribe, that would really be great. Thoughts always welcome in the comments section below the video. Share this video with anyone you think would benefit from it. But most of all, come back and see me again. I would love to see all of you again. And until I do see all of you again, bye.